Biggity bam.
In a galaxy far, far away, a galaxy of capes and lunatics, gods and monsters, there are those who are just trying to make a buck and get wrapped up in something larger than themselves. That is Cassian. And this is Andor, Season 1, Episode 5, The Axe Forgets. Cassian must carefully navigate the distrust inherent in being the new member of a secret operation. Our director this week is Susanna White. Writers on this are listed as Dan Gilroy, who gets that written by credit. Tony Gilroy gets that created by, and based on Star Wars by good old George Lucas. Okay, Mozz. This is an episode. I liked a lot about it. I liked the tension within the group. But I also really liked when we'd jump away and we'd see our skinny security guard who's been fired and dealing with his mom.
Oh my God, that's so much deliciousness in that scene.
It really is. And it really humanizes everyone. And this is one of the things I like about it, is even though obviously they're working for evil people and they're doing evil things, the fact that they are just humans, at the end of the day, is something that's deep within it. When the guards are like, the whole reason we get posted to this location is because of this once every, 3-year event where you get these comets in the sky. And, it's interesting and it's beautiful. But you also get the idea that, it's the banality of evil in and of itself. It is that human quality, it is that human nature, but right. It is also, yes.
I mean, like, the bureaucracy might have started from a good intention, or even if it didn't, there is an argument to be made that some of those things could be construed as positive and progressive. But in the end, weak people end up in positions of importance, and the corruption begins, and everything is corruptible. I think.
Yes.
That's what I got out of it.
Right. And that's the thing, is everything is corruptible. Even the rebellion is corruptible, because everyone here has their motivations and they have their second guessing of everyone they're working with, although I do find that to be, again, where Cassian really comes into play as an actual seasoned thief and a seasoned pro, where when they are starting getting at each other, and he says, if it wasn't this, it would have been something else, because these guys have never pulled a heist before. He says, this is the thing, right now we're in this waiting period, and everybody's looking for what's going to go wrong, and everyone's getting on edge because there's too much time between the waiting and the moment.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a neat thing. And again, it's what they're paying him for.
Right.
Although no one else knew that until now.
They all seem like they have not done this before.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're a ragtag group of rebels,
Yeah. Maybe the head sergeant, the big burly dude, who's sort of in charge. He seems like he's been like a soldier before. He knows his stuff.
Well, being a soldier is not the same as being a thief.
Well, okay, that's fair. But what I mean is, like, the rest of them I feel like they haven't been in a life or death situation before. Although maybe the guy with the tattoos,
yeah,
definitely. But
exactly.
Well, now that I think about it, even the brown girl, the only one that seems really inexperienced is their
Is
leader.
Oh, I was going to say the poet.
The poet too, for sure. Yeah, him and the leader. She doesn't seem like she's like keeping a good image together, but I don't think she's been in situations like this before.
Yeah. Well, sorry, kids.
I thought there were two scenes here that were my favorite because this was a slow episode. Not a lot happened. There's a lot of character building. There were two scenes that were really fun. Obviously, our former security employee and his mom, great. But also,
she's the best. She really
so good.
Steals every scene that she's in.
Yeah, it's so true. And the scene where they're talking about how they're gonna fly the thing out of there and they don't know how to do it, and they go in the most clumsy way about trying to get him to tell them how to do it. Like as somebody like went to college for acting, I was so jealous of that scene. What a great scene to be able to play. Like, what, are you guys kidding me? You have no idea how to do this? Oh man, that looked like such a fun scene to play.
Well, yeah, and I do love in that, just where he finally says it does it this way because that's how it's built. If it's there,
it's a custom job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because there's a lever clutch, and that's gonna get you off the rails. And
what would you have done if I hadn't shown up?
Yes, and they say we would have figured it out. Which no, you would all be dead.
Yeah.
You would all be dead, but that's okay because you're probably I don't have a lot of faith for everyone in this.
And not just that, there's an interesting comment that he makes when he says to him, "What do you really want?" As he's walking away, he goes, "Man, I just want to accomplish this and walk out of here." And the tattoo guy goes, "Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." These guys are all like suicide bombers. They're just like, "Hey, cause. I'm going to blow myself up for the cause."
Well, they're willing to do what they have to.
Right.
And it would be nice if we actually steal the money from the Empire, and get out of here, and one or two of us are alive. I hope I'm one or two. It's like that's the dream. And honestly, I do think the guy with the tattoo is just he knows Poet's the first to go down. He knows. Oh, sweet child.
He seems to me more like the guy who wants to have the Poet close by, just so he has like the last minute sacrificial lamb to throw in the monster's way.
Well, yeah, that would be, and what a great way to die for the cause. So congratulations, Poet. I will tell all of your bravery.
Oh man, great stories will be written about how you didn't trip over that rock.
Yes. But yeah, I mean it's very interesting, and everything that leads up to it is it's great storytelling. We also have again our senator who is dealing with her daughter and her husband, and I do find their relationship interesting because you can see that it's the story of a person who has something they're hiding from everyone in their family, and everyone knows they're hiding something. They don't know what, and actually at a certain point they've just stopped caring, because whatever it is, it's not something that they're going to tell us, so there's no need for us to obsess about it. Then meanwhile we've got our own lives we're dealing with. If you're not going to let us in on the secret, then we're going to do our lives, and we're going to not necessarily need you on that.
Well, isn't that sort of like also though the world that they live in, isn't that par for the course for everybody? That's you're all politicians' children. Like none of her friends have different experiences with their parents. It just seems like
no, I mean
that's why like the husband seems so like at peace with it. He's like, all right, you know what? It could be worse. He seems to have a little bit of perspective sometimes. You like, man, I could be out in one of those far-flung colonies with no water, having to trade this to get. I'm all right. Things could be way worse. He's like, man, I'm just chilling. This is what it is. Everybody, lies to their spouses. Everybody has, and then we just go on. But that's the price we pay for living in grandeur and whatnot. So I think that's where I see him. but the daughter seems like a real brat.
Well,
But
I think she's a teenager.
I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of it that is a teenager, and I think that is where it even gets heavier because
she's not wrong either.
Yeah, well, the mother wants to connect with her.
Does
but the
she
mother?
know?
Well, I think she does. Yeah, I guess
I mean, she wants to be that person, but I don't think she has the luxury to be that person.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I mean, she can't.
Right.
She can't be honest with her child because she has dedicated herself in total to lying to everyone, including those closest to her, which is the cost of the rebellion. And maybe years later her daughter will look back on this and go, oh, okay, that's why she was like that, and that was a beautiful thing.
They always do.
Or she'll say, I didn't want my mom to lead the rebellion. I just wanted a mom. And quite frankly, I mean, that's always that interesting aspect of that. It's like after the empire falls, do we ever see anything get better in the galaxy? Do things get better, or do they just continue on as they do?
I think they get incrementally better each cycle. Yeah. But I think it is cyclical. It is a waveform. It'll go up, it'll come down, it'll go up, it'll come down. And along the way, in those little pockets is where we make incremental change before we break everything apart and make incremental. That's what I think.
And Tristan just pointed out that the Wookiees are free now. So, at the end of the day, if you're a Wookiee, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And if everyone, it's like if most people's lives were not dramatically changed by the fall of the Empire, but you were no longer a slave to the Empire, that was pretty good. That was pretty good, assuming that when the Empire fell, that they freed all the Wookiees, which is a presumption. There may have been some Wookiees that had debts.
Yeah.
You know how those you always find an excuse.
Right.
Well, well, I don't know how many were imprisoned on the Death Star, but hey, glorious death. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. You know what other scene I really liked is our two SS officers going through the files on the Imperial Navy, and just how their data doesn't actually make sense. That it's always the same data. Like, no, there's no way to audit it, no way to check it. It's the Imperial Navy. They're out in space, and they tell us what they did.
Wait, I don't remember which scene was that.
That was it was just one scene because it's our blonde girl and her attaché,
right?
Which is and they're they're vibing, and it's like and she says, oh, it's getting very late, you should go home. And they go, okay, just one more set of files. So they're nerding about their
right.
Yeah, and I like that because again, it is, even though these are objectively evil people,
they
are actually taking this moment now to humanize them, to have that conversation, just like the crew at the station.
Yeah, I mean, so what I appreciate about what I find enjoyment in, or what I can admire in that, is that no matter what cause you have chosen to pick up, hopefully the part that swayed you was the plausible idea that it was meant for this good reason or whatever, right? But just whatever cause you have decided to pick up, if you're good at what you do, then I have to kind of respect you at least a little bit, right? And she's really good at what he does, and he's really good at what she does, what he does, her assistant or whatever. And that's a sharp contrast between them and the security guard, who's got all zeal and all passion, but no brains, no cleverness.
Yeah.
straightforward, like and he doesn't know how to get things done. He just wants to stand in front and soak the adulations of, oh, I got it done, but he doesn't have the patience or the willpower to actually do the right things to get it done. So it's easy to dislike him. It's not so easy to dislike Deirdre and these guys. So I think that's what I appreciate about them, is that they're really good at what they do.
You know, and I agree. It's just it is an interesting way that they set everyone up in this. My real hope, I think, is that there is some redemption for all of our heroes and villains, you know, however they go. I mean, like I said, I actually
don't know.
could
I don't know
totally
if I want
see.
redemption for them. I want them to have, you know, like the leading to Valhalla good death, right? Let's give them. That's
Yeah.
what they want. So let's give them that. We'll give
Well,
both
no,
come
but I
out
like
happy. You know, I
for
don't want
example,
redemption for them.
I would not be surprised if we see our little, you know, our corporate cop with no other options joining the rebellion.
Oh, it's probably
You
what's
know?
going to happen, and that would make me so angry.
Well, but everyone has a cause. Everyone has what their cause
Yeah,
is. And his cause might just be, I want to bring down the empire because they fired me.
or I'm going to bring down the rebellion from the inside. I'm going to infect them with my buffoonery and my idiocy and my lack of thinking and not being able to control my impulses. Yeah, let's go that. I'll bring my skills to the Republic and see what happens. It's an inside job.
That could work too. that could absolutely work too. You know, the whole idea is with all these characters is that they're just, you know, they're all kind of thrown together, and they are the people that keep everything running, whether it's the rebellion or it's the empire. You know, none of these people, there are no Skywalkers here. You know, there are no, you know, the senator is as close as you get to someone with real power and authority. But because she's on the side of the rebellion, she is really kind of at a loss, you know. And I do think that our one character, you know, the financier for this, you know,
that would be Luthen, right? Or
yeah, Luthen, who, you know, again, these are these people. They have all of this wealth, probably accumulated through somewhat unscrupulous means on Coruscant. Because, I mean, when you think about the history of Coruscant, it is a city planet, which means they long ago stripped all of their resources. And existence is based off of bringing in resources from outside.
So it's basically just a glorified space station now that needs all the
effectively, yes. And that is the birth of both the Republic and the Empire. That this jewel of Coruscant, to be maintained, has to pull in from everywhere, has to get these resources in, has to get these things into Coruscant, because they really don't have anything left there. They became this super advanced civilization, but, you know, it costs them everything.
But it must also be like a status symbol for them, right? We live in the most expensive place, like, you know, like places like Dubai building indoor ski parks. It's just like the level of opulence is also a bragging right, that we live in a place that has nothing, but we can survive there because we're so rich.
Yeah, but at the same time, there is the reality that there is a massive underclass on Coruscant that keeps it running. You know, it's Metropolis. You know, there's the city high above and the workers far below. And I like this thing where we get to see, in some cases, the workers. You know, I like to see. I like these. I like the people manning the garrison. In fact, my favorite scene in this is when oh, what is he? He's a major, I think. The guy who's turning on the Empire. He had fallen in love with a local
Right.
woman,
I
lost the promotion, then lost the
think he
girl.
might be a sergeant or a major. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's obviously in charge.
Yeah.
He's obviously the one he's the highest ranking soldier there. And I love how he basically gets the men to talk themselves into not having a full set complement of soldiers
Mm-hmm.
during this one time where it's like, again, keep thinking about why is this not painted? Why is this not done? We've got someone from Coruscant coming in a few days. We need to do this, and I found that really interesting. Exactly how he sort of turns the conversation so that they're like, we'll do it, but you gotta let us all just have the day off and go see the stars, man.
It had an air of like the old Dr. Cliff Huxtable, something like he would say to his kids to teach them a lesson or something. It had that level of like he was talking to his kids. There was a very dadness to it.
Yes, and when you see when he turns away after they agree to like have almost no one in the place when they're going to pull the heist, just he has that little smile to himself.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome. I really love that aspect of it, and just it's one more thing that just shows they've got a plan. I think it's all going to get anon. I think it's all going to fall apart.
I mean, more than likely, yeah. And they even know it. They're like, yeah, maybe we'll make it back.
Yeah. But I liked the scene with the former prisoner. When you do get everyone's like a little bit of everyone's backstory, but when he finds Cassian has the Kyber crystal,
Oh,
and he's like, "Who brings a fortune to a heist?"
I mean, it's a fair point. But again, that's not why they're there. None of them are there for personal gain, right? So the fortune there or not there shouldn't matter, right? That's not. They're not going there for the fortune. They're going there for the cause.
Except he actually is going there for the fortune. He is the Han Solo.
I mean, yes, but also it means something to him because he's probably not trustworthy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you mean the prisoner?
No, the tattoo guy.
Yeah, because that's what the tattoos were. Where like the
prisoner. Okay, fair enough. Yes.
Yeah. So because and that's how they're connecting, and he knows because he was saying, yeah, none of them know what any of these tattoos mean.
Yeah.
Because he's been around, he's seen some stuff, he's done some stuff. I love how his motivation is purely revenge for his brother and his pepper trees. But I get the feeling there's like this aspect to it where yes, his brother was hurt by the Empire, but I get the feeling like his brother had probably been a problem for his hardworking farmer brother for years. So he was the ne'er-do-well criminal brother. The other brother was the one manning the pepper trees.
I see.
And then he gets murdered, and then he's like, well, I guess now my motivation is I'm going to avenge my brother. And it's like, maybe if you had been there maybe if you had manned the farm, maybe we could have.
Now I'm beginning to think they came looking for him, and he said, oh, that's, so-and-so, or something.
Ooh, well, that's an interesting take. That's a dark take.
That's pretty dark, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but and again, I do think that there is that when you talk about that suicide mission, I think that is something that he's in there because I think he's had a lot of guilt over not being there for his brother, not being able to help him when he needed the help. And he wants to, he wants to make amends by maybe ending his life in that way.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
Yeah. So what else is going on in this episode?
I I love the way she talks. And my favorite thing she goes, she says, "What are you slouching for?" You know what that says to the world?
Oh,
How did she phrase it?
mm. Hello, I am here to disappoint you.
Yes. I was like,
Yes,
oh my God. And he goes, by the time you realize you're slouching, it's too late. I was like, oh my God. She's just hitting him
exactly.
with zingers left and right. My
The
God,
mother
these women.
really is
Whew.
so great in this show. I want just a show with her. I want just these two living her in her city apartment. It's like, oh well, here's my son who does it too, and I mentions his uncle. So I want to. I think we're gonna get to a scene with his uncle, because because his uncle sounds like he actually. Well, because his uncle said he didn't think he was cut out for law enforcement, and which is interesting, but maybe it's because his uncle felt, oh, you know what? Okay, so, and I haven't seen any. I know you've watched ahead. So, like to me, right now, big twist is that Luthen is his uncle. That's it's like, and that's how he gets into the rebellion.
That would be funny because it's Uncle Harlow is supposed to have influence and whatnot. And even though it appears like he just runs a gift shop, Luthen has a tremendous amount of influence. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
I would hate that though,
idea.
because I would hate to see that came from that stock.
Well, he's only an uncle.
I guess
we don't even know which side of the uncle it's on.
In this moment, I remember thinking it reminded me of those scenes where she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna call your uncle. He's gonna fix everything." And you call the uncle. The uncle's like, "Oh man, it's not the same," and the uncle's gonna disappoint them.
Yeah, well, because that's what uncles do. Yeah, and
then it's gonna lead him down a dark road. That's what I was thinking as I was watching that. I was like,
yeah, well, there's lots of
faith in this Uncle Harlow.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of possibilities that we're going to see, and you hope for good, and you hope that they find their way. But if the guy winds up a stormtrooper, which I think is really going to be a spot where he could thrive in, that's the thing. It's like, hey, they let Han Solo be a stormtrooper.
Yeah, but I can just see him modifying his stormtrooper outfit and being the first one who gets aimed at and shot at.
They actually don't. That's some Lord Tristan taught me. They don't let the stormtroopers modify their outfits.
Yeah, I know, but he wasn't supposed to modify any of his other uniforms.
I know.
He modified every single one.
But that was the individualization of the clones and how they all painted their armor and had, very unique things. They actually realized that the clones, because they were clones, felt the need to be much more individualized, which was risky for the Empire. Whereas the stormtroopers, because they're all individuals, and that's arguably why they stopped using clones, because individuals were more comfortable being a faceless number, being a TR8R, a TR8R, having that designation.
And I imagine those
because they had an individual
running from a past somewhere, so it's beneficial for them to be anonymous.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's lots of ways to do it, but the idea is, which I think is a solid idea within the Star Wars canon, that is why that the clones were too individualized, and so the only way that you can solve that problem, because clones felt the need to individuate because they were clones.
And I imagine clones were super expensive.
I actually that's an interesting question about the actual cost of clones
relative to other methods of sourcing cannon fodder.
Well, yeah, true, but you were also getting high grade cannon soldiers. Fodder. Well, everything's cannon fodder, Green Berets are technically cannon fodder.
Okay, but do you think the clones were relative to Green Berets, or were they just a unit of infantry?
Well, they were a unit of infantry, but they were made up to be. Each one was supposed to be a perfect soldier. So so like each one could be
Yeah, I
a
guess
Green
they were all
Beret.
like a bunch of Boba Fett's, right? Essentially.
Yeah, just don't hit them in the back because that's their one weakness. It's that dang faulty jetpack. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's what they were. They were all Boba Fett's. They were all Jango Fett's because Boba Fett is also a clone. Um, but yeah, I really find that an interesting thing, and I do hope we get more stories within the stormtrooper ranks because we haven't really gotten that yet. We haven't really gotten anyone going into who these people are underneath the masks and who you are when you take on the mask and what it means to be a stormtrooper.
Can you imagine
Because
like a stormtrooper, like a bar, like a cop bar,
yeah,
like NYPD Blue, but with stormtroopers, right?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a really great comedy series. I think it was on the Ben Stiller show, which was troopers. It was like cops, but it was stormtroopers, on Tatooine.
Oh,
And
that's
it's just
funny.
like, yeah, we got it's a domestic disturbance,
That's
we
great.
gotta, and then they just shoot people. It's just
That's funny.
because they were stormtroopers, and that's funny, Mozz. Any final thoughts on tonight's episode?
No, relatively slow one. Not much moving forward, but the conversations along the way were really, really enjoyable. I'm super excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, myself as well. And again, like I said, the things that just jump out at me, it is, how everybody relates to one another, how all the pieces of the heist are coming into play, which is worrisome because every good heist has to have that everything goes wrong moment. So, you worry that could be what we're leading towards here. And, I don't know what happens, but I do know that we have some scenes with
Good.
yeah, some scenes with Andy Serkis. And it seems to be Andy Serkis, not in any kind of thing, but just Andy Serkis being Andy Serkis, interacting with Cassian, and they're both wearing these white uniforms. And I don't know if they're in prison or if they've infiltrated some other group, but I'm excited for what those stories are going to be.
Oh man,
I've
seen quite a bit ahead, and like it almost feels like it's the show hasn't really even begun yet.
Yeah, how many episodes are in this?
There's 11 so far, and I think the finale is coming up tomorrow. So there'll be 12 in total.
Okay, so it's going to be 12, and then I think there's another 12 that are like in pre-production, that are in production.
That's great. This is the best thing I've seen in a long while.
Well, of course it is, because this is Star Wars, but people. So much of Star Wars.
Every single thing about it is so good. The writing is top notch. The acting is amazing. The cinematography, the visuals, the framing, the pacing. The relationships, the subtlety of the spycraft. Just every single thing about it is just a firing on all cylinders. It's been a long time since I have not been able to stop binge watching something. I cannot help it. This is one of the best things I've seen in a while.
I mean, here's my one criticism: they talk too quietly.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, it is so hard when you're trying to watch. It's like, I guess if you have no distractions and you're just watching it, but honestly, even when there's no distractions,
you don't put captions on?
No, because then you have to stare at the screen too.
I know. I hate it. Everybody used to do it, but then now because everybody else does it when I'm watching with people, now I can't do it on myself, and I hate myself for it. But I do put captions on.
No, I don't mind captions. I like captions, and actually, I prefer captions when I'm sitting and watching.
Mm.
But you see, my problem is I usually have it on in the background.
Mm.
And I have to do like a rewatch a couple times, and to go through it. But that's just my problem. All right, Mozz. If folks at home have thoughts on this whole show and would like to write to us, or any show on the Capes and Lunatics Network, they can reach out to us at capesandlunatics@gmail.com. That's capesandlunatics@gmail.com. Write us a letter. We will read it on the air if you want us to. Likewise, you can call us at 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. That is our hotline where you can leave us a voicemail with all your thoughts and dreams and hopes for the future. And we will, again, play it on air if you want us to. And then, if you'd like to do us a favor for once, why don't you go down into the show notes, go down to Linktree, linktr.ee/CapesandLunatics, and just see our merch, buy our stuff. We got t-shirts, we got cups, we got all the things you want. And you can also just give us money for no other reason, either to be a part of our Patreon, where you can give continuously and then get access to exclusive Patreon content, or you can just give us money for nothing, and we'll say thank you. Through, I think it's the Cash App. We have Patreon and Cash App, so gimme. All right, Mozz. If people would like to reach out to you, talk to you directly, become your best friend forever, how can they do so?
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
Beautiful. And of course, people can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And of course, follow me on the Twitter when I'm there. Well, it lasts. Live tweeting things at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the two E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing.
Thank you, Mozz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of another episode. Oh my gosh, we didn't even do Avast Me Hearties. I just realized that. Oh, Avast Me Hearties. We did it. We dropped our entire pirate stick this episode, but you know what? We're now space pirates. The space pirates don't necessarily have Middle English accents, but we would wish they would. Come back again next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arg.
Right. Oh,
all right, Mozz.
excellent.